The most dangerous man on earth is not the one who has never lost, but the one who was systematically destroyed and chose to use the rubble as a foundation for a kingdom the world cannot stop. They broke you and life hit you with a force that felt personal, leaving you to believe that being shattered was your permanent state, but there is a surgical truth hidden in the wreckage that the world never wants you to discover. The most powerful figures in human history were not born with scepters in their hands, they were forged in the white heat of total destruction. Think about Machiavelli, a man who didn't write his masterwork from the comfort of a palace but from the isolation of exile, humiliated and stripped of every title he once held, yet he turned that kneeling position into the ultimate vantage point for power. That is not a coincidence, it is a recurring pattern of human nature where broken men who refuse to stay broken become a category of being that the world simply has no way to predict or manipulate. If you are sitting in the ruins of your own story right now, you need to understand that pain is not your enemy. It is your most honest advisor and the only teacher that will never lie to you about your weaknesses. Every man who has ever achieved real influence did not do it despite his suffering. He did it because the fire meant to consume him ended up hardening him into something unbreakable. Most people hit a wall and either collapse into self-pity or run toward distractions to numb the sting, but the Machiavellian mind does something different by sitting directly in the discomfort and asking what the wound is trying to reveal. Pain strips away the illusions you were comfortable hiding behind and exposes the people who were never truly loyal, providing a brutal clarity that serves as the bedrock for everything you will build next. You have to stop mourning what broke you and start studying it as a blueprint because your breakdown was never meant to be the end of the book, it was the start of the transformation. This leads to a weapon that is rarer than gold in our modern world, which is the absolute power of your silence. We live in an era where everyone is desperate to be heard and validated, but the man who controls his tongue is the one who ultimately controls his fate. Every time you explain yourself to someone who has already judged you, or reveal your plans before they are executed, you are voluntarily surrendering information that can be used against you. Silence is the armor that no blade can penetrate because when you stop reacting, other people start losing control. When you move in stillness and speak only when your words carry a surgical purpose, you become a ghost in the system, and an unpredictable man is an untouchable man. This discipline must extend inward to the territory of your own emotions, because a ruler who is governed by his feelings is nothing more than a puppet whose strings are pulled by whoever knows how to provoke him. You see it every day when a man destroys a decade of work in 1 minute of unchecked anger, or lets fear paralyze him at the exact moment he should have struck. The Machiavellian man feels the full weight of betrayal or grief, but develops the terrifying ability to choose his response coldly and consciously. There is a massive difference between being numb and being a master of your internal world. The first is a void, but the second is absolute power. You win the moment someone tries to humiliate you and you respond with a stillness that makes them doubt their own existence. This level of self-mastery requires you to look at your social circle with the cold eyes of a general, because the law of proximity states that you will eventually become the average of the people you allow into your inner sanctum. You are not just choosing friends, you are choosing your future ceiling and the level of mediocrity you are willing to tolerate. Machiavelli warned that a leader surrounded by flatterers who only tell him what he wants to hear is already walking toward his own execution. Flattery is just poison dressed as loyalty, and the people who clap for your average efforts are actually your heaviest anchors keeping you in a harbor you were meant to leave. You have to identify the silent saboteurs and the energy vampires and remove them without a lengthy explanation or a single ounce of guilt. If a relationship doesn't make you sharper or push your energy forward, it is a liability you can no longer afford to carry. Once you have cleared the space, you must learn to move without ever announcing your next move to the public. The world does not reward your intentions or celebrate your potential, it only bows to your results. When you share your dreams with people who haven't seen the evidence yet, you give them the ammunition to plant seeds of doubt in your mind. The most successful people disappear into their work, sacrifice in the darkness, and let their eventual arrival be the only announcement they ever make. This requires a level of strategic patience that most people find unbearable because timing is not just a part of the strategy, timing is the entire strategy. In a world addicted to instant gratification, the man who can wait for the perfect moment to strike becomes a predator that the impulsive cannot defend against. Boldness without patience is just recklessness, but when you combine them, you strike only when victory is already guaranteed. You must make peace with the process and the silence, understanding that the most powerful version of yourself is being built in the 10,000 moments where you chose to hold your position while everyone else was screaming for you to move. Finally, you have to be willing to reinvent yourself completely, which means having the courage to burn the old version of you that was defined by past failures and rising as someone new. Reinvention isn't a betrayal of who you were, It is the highest form of loyalty to the person you are capable of becoming. You have to shed the outdated narratives and the limiting beliefs installed by people who gave up on their own greatness a long time ago. When you look into the fire that was meant to finish you and choose to become something the fire couldn't have predicted, you become an unstoppable force. The untouchable man is not the one who never fell, but the one who used the fall to recalibrate his entire existence until he became the author of his own narrative. This isn't just a set of lessons, it is a code of sovereignty that you must live every single day until the world no longer recognizes the person it tried to break.